respect isn't given. It's taken. And the moment you truly understand that, really understand it, deep in your bones, everything in your life changes. Your relationships change, your career changes, the way you walk into a room changes, the way people look at you, speak to you, treat you, all of it shifts. This is the story of how I learned that lesson. And trust me, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't some motivational montage where I woke up one day and decided to be confident. It was painful. It was brutal. It cost me relationships, opportunities, and years of my life. But it was worth every second, because the man I became is worth more than the comfort I lost. Let me take you back. There was a time in my life when I tolerated disrespect like it was normal. When I let people speak to me in ways I would never accept today. When I smiled through insults and told myself I was being mature. I wasn't mature. I was terrified. Terrified of conflict. Terrified of losing people. Terrified of standing up for myself and being called difficult, arrogant, or aggressive. So I stayed quiet. I remember the jokes, the little comments that everyone laughed at, the way certain people would talk over me in meetings, dismiss my ideas, or question my intelligence in front of others. And I just took it. I told myself I was being the bigger person. I told myself that real strength was staying calm, not reacting, letting it roll off my back. But late at night, when I was alone, I felt it. That burning rage. Not at them, at myself. Because deep down, I knew I was betraying the one person who needed me most, the man I was supposed to become. I had friends who disrespected me. They'd cancel plans last minute, show up hours late, or talk to me like I was beneath them. And I'd smile and say, no problem, man, it's all good. It wasn't all good. I had relationships where I was an option, never a priority, where I gave everything and received scraps, where I bent over backwards to make someone happy while they couldn't be bothered to show me basic respect. And I stayed because I thought that's what loyalty meant. I was confusing loyalty with stupidity. In my career, people doubted me. They questioned my vision, mocked my ambitions, told me I was dreaming too big, and instead of cutting them off, I tried to prove myself to them. I wasted years seeking validation from people who would never give it. Because here's the truth. People who don't respect you will never be convinced to respect you. You can't logic someone into valuing you. You can't perform your way into their approval. Either they see your worth or they don't. And if they don't, they need to go. But I didn't understand that yet. There was one moment that changed everything. I was at a dinner. Friends, colleagues, people I thought cared about me. And one person, someone I considered close, made a comment. It was subtle, disguised as a joke, but everyone at that table knew it was disrespect. They felt the tension, they saw the line being crossed, and they all looked at me, waiting to see what I'd do. I laughed it off, I smiled, made a self-deprecating joke back, kept the peace, and the conversation moved on. But inside, I was dying. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, replaying that moment over and over. The comment, the laughter, my response. And I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Shame. Not shame from what they said, shame from what I didn't say. I had abandoned myself. In front of everyone, I chose comfort over dignity. I chose being liked over being respected. And that decision haunted me because I realized something terrifying. If I didn't respect myself enough to defend my own boundaries, why would anyone else? That question broke me, and it rebuilt me. Here's what no one tells you. Society is designed to keep you weak. They tell you to be nice, to forgive, to turn the other cheek, to let things go, to be the bigger person. And on the surface, that sounds noble, it sounds enlightened, but it's a trap. Because while you're being nice, being forgiving, being understanding, someone else is taking advantage of you, using you, walking all over you. And the more you tolerate, the more they push. Disrespect is like a test. People throw it at you to see what you'll accept. And every time you let it slide, you're giving them permission to do it again. You're setting a standard. You're training them how to treat you. And once that standard is set, it's almost impossible to change. Because people don't respect boundaries that suddenly appear. They respect boundaries that were always there. I learned this the hard way. When I finally tried to stand up for myself in certain relationships, people were shocked. They were offended. Why are you being so sensitive all of a sudden? You never cared before. And they were right. I never cared before because I was too afraid to care. But that's the problem. When you tolerate disrespect for too long, people get comfortable. And when you try to change, they resist because your growth threatens their comfort. They liked you better when you were weak, when you were easy to control, when you didn't challenge them. Your respect was inconvenient to their selfishness. So they gaslight you. They make you feel like you're the problem. They call you arrogant, difficult, aggressive. And if you're not careful, you'll believe them, you'll shrink back down, you'll apologize for having standards. Don't, because the people who get upset when you set boundaries are the exact people who are benefiting from you having none. Let me say that again. The people who get angry when you demand respect are the people who are profiting from your lack of it. They don't care about you. They care about what you do for them. And the moment you stop being useful, they disappear. That's not friendship. That's not love. That's parasitic. And you have to be ruthless about cutting those people out. Let me tell you what happens when you tolerate disrespect long enough. You lose yourself. It's not dramatic. It's not sudden. It's slow, gradual, like erosion. Every time you smile through an insult, a piece of you dies. Every time you accept behavior you know is wrong, your self-worth shrinks. Every time you prioritize someone else's comfort over your own dignity, you betray yourself a little more. And one day, you wake up and don't recognize the person in the mirror. I watched it happen to me. I used to have fire, ambition, confidence. I used to believe I was destined for greatness. But years of tolerating disrespect dulled that fire. It made me question myself, made me doubt my worth, made me think maybe I deserved to be treated that way. My relationships suffered because I had no boundaries. People knew they could take advantage of me, cancel on me, disrespect me, and I'd always be there, smiling, understanding, forgiving. So they lost respect for me, and I lost respect for myself. My career stalled because people didn't take me seriously. I was talented, hardworking, intelligent, but none of that mattered because I didn't command respect. I didn't set boundaries. I didn't value my own time and energy. So no one else did either. And the worst part, I was angry all the time. On the surface, I was calm, collected, the guy who never got upset. But inside, I was boiling with rage at the world, at the people who used me, at the opportunities I missed. But really, I was angry at myself because I knew I was capable of more. I knew I deserved better, but I was too afraid to demand it. Fear kept me small, and smallness kept me miserable. I missed opportunities because I didn't advocate for myself. I stayed in toxic relationships because I was afraid of being alone. I worked for people who disrespected me because I was afraid of taking risks. Fear, fear, fear. And every decision rooted in fear led me further from the man I wanted to be. One day, I broke. Not publicly, not dramatically, but quietly, in the privacy of my own mind. I was standing in front of a mirror after another day of tolerating behavior I knew was destroying me. And I asked myself a question that changed my life. Are you going to die like this? Let that sink in. Are you going to die tolerated but never respected, present but never valued, existing but never truly living? Are you going to spend the rest of your life bending, shrinking, apologizing for taking up space? That question haunted me. It terrified me because the answer, if I was honest, was yes. If I didn't change, that's exactly what would happen. I would die a man who never stood up for himself, who never demanded what he deserved, who sacrificed his dignity for the comfort of people who didn't even care about him. And that was unacceptable. So I made a promise right there, staring at myself in that mirror. Never again would I tolerate disrespect. Never again would I smile through someone crossing a boundary I should have defended. Never again would I prioritize being liked over being respected. From that moment forward, my life had new rules. Rule 1, I set clear boundaries and I enforced them without emotion. Rule 2, if you cross those boundaries, you're done. No warnings, no second chances, no long conversations about how you hurt me. You're just gone. Rule 3, I never explain, never justify, never negotiate my standards. They're not up for debate. Rule 4, I remove myself from any environment that doesn't value me, quietly, permanently. These rules changed everything. When you start demanding respect, people lose their minds. The moment I implemented my new boundaries, I got pushback, lots of it. People called me arrogant, they said I'd changed. They told me I was taking things too seriously, being too sensitive, overreacting. Friends I'd known for years were suddenly offended that I wouldn't tolerate the same behavior I'd accepted before. Why are you being like this? You never cared before. Exactly. I never cared before. And look where that got me. Some people tried to guilt me. After everything we've been through, you're just going to cut me off like that? Yes. Because everything we've been through doesn't give you permission to disrespect me forever. Others tried to manipulate me. You're being selfish. You're not the person I thought you were. Good. Because the person you thought I was a doormat. And I'm done being that. But here's what I learned. The people who got angry were proving exactly why they needed to go. They weren't upset that I changed. They were upset that they could no longer use me. They missed the version of me that served their needs, that tolerated their behavior, that made their life easier at the expense of mine. And when I stopped playing that role, they had no use for me. So they left, and I let them. It hurt. I won't lie. Losing people always hurts, even when you know it's right. But pain is temporary. Regret is forever. And I'd rather hurt for a season than regret a lifetime of tolerating disrespect. Once the weak relationships fell away, something incredible happened. Space opened up. Space for new people, better people, people who operated at my level, people who understood respect, boundaries, value. My life transformed in ways I never imagined. My career exploded because I started advocating for myself. I stopped accepting lowball offers. I stopped working with people who didn't value my time. I started demanding what I was worth. And you know what happened? People started paying it, because when you value yourself, others have no choice but to follow. My relationships deepened because I only kept people who truly respected me. No more one-sided friendships. No more relationships where I was an option. No more giving 100% to people who gave 20%. Everyone in my life now earns their place, and they maintain it by consistently showing me respect. My confidence skyrocketed because I was finally living in alignment with my values. I wasn't betraying myself anymore. I wasn't compromising my dignity for temporary comfort. I was becoming the man I always knew I could be. And the peace that came from that, indescribable. For the first time in years, I could look in the mirror and respect the person looking back. I could go to bed knowing I hadn't betrayed myself. I could wake up excited about my life because it was finally mine. Not someone else's version of what they wanted from me. Mine. Let me explain something fundamental. Respect is the foundation of everything. Every single thing that matters in life is built on respect. Your career, built on respect. If people don't respect you, they don't hire you, promote you, or pay you what you're worth. Your relationships, built on respect. If your partner doesn't respect you, you don't have a partnership. You have a hostage situation. Your self-worth, built on respect. If you don't respect yourself, nothing else matters. You could have all the money, success, and relationships in the world, and you'd still feel empty. Respect isn't about ego. It's not about dominating people or being cruel. It's about understanding your value and refusing to exist in spaces that diminish it. It's about setting standards and maintaining them without apology. It's about recognizing that you are the most important person in your life and treating yourself accordingly. Here's the truth bomb. The world treats you exactly how you teach it to. If you tolerate disrespect, you'll receive disrespect. If you accept scraps, you'll get scraps. If you act like you're worthless, people will believe you. But if you demand respect, if you value your time and energy, if you refuse to settle, the world has no choice but to adjust. People will either step up to your level or they'll step out of your life. Either way, you win. Because a life surrounded by people who disrespect you isn't a life, it's a prison. And you're the only one with the key. All right, enough philosophy. Let me give you the exact blueprint for commanding respect. Step 1, define your boundaries. What behavior will you absolutely not tolerate? Disrespect, lateness, lying, half effort, manipulation. Write it down, be specific. These are your non-negotiables. Step 2, communicate those boundaries clearly. Not aggressively, not emotionally, just clearly. I don't tolerate lateness. If you're more than 15 minutes late without notice, we're done. I don't accept disrespectful communication. Speak to me with respect or don't speak to me at all. Simple, direct, no room for confusion. Step 3, enforce your boundaries without emotion. This is where most people fail. They set boundaries, but they don't enforce them. Someone crosses the line and they make excuses. Well, they were having a bad day. They didn't mean it. Everyone deserves a second chance. No, when someone crosses your boundary, you remove them immediately. No negotiation, no explanation, no emotion. You don't get angry. You don't lecture them. You don't try to make them understand. You just remove them. Block the number. End the relationship. Walk away from the opportunity. Step 4, never justify your standards. When you enforce boundaries, people will demand explanations. Why are you being like this? Don't you think you're overreacting? Can't we just talk about this? No, your standards are not up for debate. You don't owe anyone an explanation for respecting yourself. The moment you start justifying your boundaries, you give others permission to negotiate. And boundaries that can be negotiated aren't boundaries. They're suggestions. Step 5, be willing to lose everything. This is the hardest part, and it's non-negotiable. You have to be willing to lose relationships, opportunities, comfort, all of it to protect your respect. Because if you're not willing to lose something, you don't really have power over it. It has power over you. The moment you're willing to walk away from anything that doesn't serve you, you become unstoppable. Here's what I know now that I wish I knew 10 years ago. Your life will never exceed the level of respect you demand from yourself. Never. You can have talent, intelligence, work ethic, all of it. But if you don't respect yourself enough to set boundaries, none of it matters. The world is brutal, it's competitive, it's unforgiving, and it will take everything from you if you let it. But it will also give you everything you demand if you're strong enough to demand it. Respect isn't about being liked, it's about being valued. And value comes from scarcity, from standards, from the willingness to walk away. When you make yourself scarce, when you remove yourself from situations that don't honor you, your value increases. People start to notice. They start to wonder. They start to respect, not because you demanded it with words, but because you demanded it with action. You showed them you don't need them. You showed them you have options. You showed them that access to you is a privilege, not a right. And that changes everything. So here's my final question to you. Who in your life is disrespecting you right now? Who's crossing boundaries you've never set? Who's treating you like you're optional? Who's speaking to you in ways you would never accept from a stranger? Write their name down right now, and then ask yourself, why are you still tolerating it? What are you afraid of? Losing them? Being alone? Conflict? Because here's the truth. Whatever you're afraid of losing by demanding respect, you've already lost by not demanding it. That person who disrespects you, they don't actually respect you now. You've already lost their respect by tolerating their behavior. That opportunity that treats you poorly, you've already lost it by accepting scraps instead of demanding value. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Your life won't change until you change. And change starts the moment you decide you're done. Done tolerating, done shrinking, done betraying yourself for people who wouldn't do the same for you. Respect isn't given, it's taken. And it's time for you to take it. The choice is yours. The power is yours. The life you want is waiting. But it will never come to you. You have to go to it. And you can only do that by becoming a man who demands respect. So what's it going to be? Are you going to keep living the same way, hoping things magically improve? Or are you going to draw that line in the sand today and never cross back? Because I'm telling you from experience, the moment you demand respect is the moment your real life begins. Everything before that is just preparation, just training, just the pain that forges you into who you're meant to be. And the man you're meant to be doesn't tolerate disrespect. He commands respect, he earns respect, he lives respect. Become that man, starting right now.